Our final writer for the evening, his name is David Abatangelo. Did I do that right? I've been practicing all night. He's a corporate manager and closet poet who performs his poetry throughout the Chicago area and regularly competes and does pretty well in poetry slams. David, come on up. In the way.
Thanks. I have nothing published, so if you like my stuff, just slip me $5 or something. Let's back up. A priest, a lawyer, a teacher, and some kids are in a boat that's sinking. The teacher's yelling, "We gotta save the kids, we gotta save the kids." My dad is old school Chicago. Always tells a joke to let me know things will work out. Don't worry. There's always time to laugh. 4 right turns later, I'm waiting for my dad as I yell, "I did it. I did it." He just looks at me and smiles. Lets me give the replay. Right onto Elston, stop at the crosswalk. Right past the DMV and back into the lot. Right at the second row of cars and right straight into any open spot. I miss my dad leaning into the handshake. A 20 tucked in his palm telling the guy, "My son needs this. He needs this." 4 right turns later, and I'm waiting for my dad. Right past the house where he once said my name. Right around the corner of his desk, where I have to tell him he's too great a risk to his own company. Right when where's dad becomes figurative, and right about the time he can't remember the last 7 words of the setup. And the lawyer says, fuck. He's inside renewing his license, which he won't get. But I want him to pull it off. I want him to fold a clean, crisp 50 under his picture, slide it across the counter, lean in and tell the guy, "I need this. I need this." Back home, he won't get out of the car. This is not his house. Not his daughter-in-law telling me, who's not his son, to just go back around the block. Right onto Bryn Mawr, right at Magnolia, right down Lakewood, and then Catalpa, and we're right back in front of his house. 4 right turns, and I'm waiting for my dad to lean in and finish the joke. And the lawyer says, "Fuck the kids." And that dirty old priest looks at the kids, looks at the water, looks at me, says, son, did you think there was time?" So, someone said that's the dirtiest joke turned into a beautiful poem. Some people just think it's a dirty joke, but I hope you liked it. This next poem is called "Kiss Like a Dead Fish." Parked out front, she says, "Do you want to kiss me now or when we come back out?" Of course, I say both. And spend the next 20 years remembering that first kiss. The flashing lights of the liquor store, my hand on a beaded belt. Her asking which, me saying both. Her saying you kissed like a dead fish. Last kisses are more difficult. Last kisses are more difficult. Arrive uninvited and leave without a note. Ours was probably pro forma. A peck on the cheek before work, or handed over with a Father's Day card. But maybe I remember it buried in the last time the two of us had sex. When for the first time in what seems like 20 years, my wife says harder. And somewhere in that hard grasping and hard gasping, I think there was a last kiss. And I want to imagine some tenderness. A brush on the shoulder. or kiss goodnight, or I love you before you roll over. But really, who could know? Last kisses are not meant to be remembered. They're wholly asymmetrical. Deceits tossed right into the bottom of the boat where they lie bleeding from the gills as you sit watching, hoping for one last twitch. And the kids poke at it with sharpened sticks and say, is it dead yet? And you say, yes, it's dead. Still dead. Thanks. We got two more. This next one is pretty new, and so I was married a long time, and I'm not. And when I was single, suddenly, I felt rusty, so I bought a book. And this poem's about that book, and what I've learned since reading it. The book says there are 6 phases. The book says it starts with a kiss and then rhythm. The book names the kisses: the cat lick, the literary lick, the Jackson Pollock, the lily pad. The book says create tension and says there are 2 phases to tension. The book says escalate the action and gives kung fu-like moves: the sucker pucker, the rope a dope, the shadow finger. The book says these moves kill. 3 chapters are devoted to the pre-orgasm. The climax of the book is the climax. The book is technical. It says you may use mouthwash but do not brush or floss. The book says a little body odor enhances the mood. The book says trim your nails. The book says if you must, substitute metaphors of your own choosing. Let it be a cave in a cove off the sea. Let waves lap against the shore. Let it be a lotus in the mud. Let the alphabet be a whirling dervish. Let it be a labyrinth. Let yourself get lost. The book doesn't say ask how you were. Don't. No good will come of that. The book doesn't say talk. It's a book by a man about women. It doesn't talk about talking. The book should say, if you meet a woman of a certain age, grab hold. Don't read the rest of this book. The book should say this in the preface or the dedication or on the cover. The book should say she has a map, follow it, go for a drive, drink with the locals. And the book should say, if she says pull over, pull over. And if she says a little more to the right and that's it, the book should simply say, go a little bit to the right. Okay, thanks. That's my last one. So there's a woman in Pakistan named Kandil Baloch who, I guess they refer to her here as kind of like the Kim Kardashian of Pakistan, but it's kind of, I think when you're in Pakistan and you're risque and you're speaking out, you make a more potent point than, maybe Kim Kardashian might make. So she was killed by her brother, right, in an honor killing. So this poem's called Brother, If You Find Me in Heaven, and it's for Kandil Baloch, honorably killed by her brother for her shameful ways. Brother, if you find me in heaven, I won't cover my neck. My sisters here have scarves with portulaca and pansies, but I won't wear them. Your thumbprints have already blossomed into purple blooms. So brother, when you go before the judge, don't pin a flower to your lapel or anoint yourself with ointment, with incense. The judges here are already incensed. And brother, if you find me in heaven, I'll not have lipstick or eyeshadow or rouge. My sisters wear red, but I don't. Your hands have already colored my cheeks. So brother, when the judge asks if my mouth do not say pink or painted or tawdry, but ask my sisters. They stole a word from the Colombians who call the darkest people azul and have named my lips blue. And brother, in heaven you will find my hair falls to my waist. My sisters cover their heads and think it beautiful, but it doesn't matter. Either way, in heaven your hair never stops growing. So brother, when you go before the judge, don't stroke your beard and don't look at her and say your honor. Because in heaven, brother, they don't think much of honor. Thanks.